Good morning, everyone. I'm checking to see if I've gotten,
Yeah.
I don't have everyone admitted yet.
Mhm.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Mia, you guys are sideways. Okay. Who's Zoom user? Is that Chase? Yep, that's who you are. Hi. All right, we have survived. We have made it out of a holiday weekend. Did you guys watch any fireworks last night? Yeah, we did not. There was a light show in our place, but we didn't go see it. But we did let off a couple sparklers, so that was okay. So, all right. Well, I hope that you're ready to talk about the most exciting subject of budgeting, because why wouldn't you want to talk about budgeting, right? Let's take a look at this. So the article, there were a couple of things that I wanted to point out about the article. First of all, well, what did you think of it? Thumbs up, sideways, down? Kind of sideways, yeah, a little bit of everything. Okay. Were there ideas that you had never thought about before? No, Chase had thought of all of it before? Okay, good. You know what? I apologize. I need to write on my notes that we should start with prayer, and I keep forgetting because I'm like, oh, we gotta go. So please time out. Let me start the way we're supposed to start. Father God, thank you for bringing us here together. Please calm all of us, help us to be focused for this class, help us to get any questions that we have answered. And Lord, just be with us and help us to honor you. In your name we pray, amen. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so not anything stunningly new to you. It looked like they had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. I have a couple of notes about some of those items that I'd like to hear from you all first about ones that stuck out to you. Are there any that stuck out to you? Taylor.
I really thought that the save for it if you really want it thing stuck out to me just because I, throughout my little time saving money, have had a hard time not just buying things right away if I wanted them. I've needed to save up for them and stuff because I don't have a whole lot of income. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, is that something that you think is the cultural message that we hear right now?
Yeah.
So we have easy credit available to us all over the place. And so this idea of saving for something before you buy it is not normal in our world. Mia?
About that same thing that was thought that stuck out to me also. And I was just saying that when you see something that you want and then you start saving for it, it gives you time to really consider if it's going to be a beneficial, or no, that's not the right word, but
beneficial.
Yes. A beneficial purchase, and you're not just spending your money on something that you won't use later on. And so it gives you time to think about it. And also, if you don't, like, if you start saving for something and you're putting money away for that, and then you realize you want to put that money somewhere else, then it shows that it's not as important to you as other things that you could use that same money for.
Sure. Okay. Any other thoughts? Kenna.
One of the ones that stuck out to me the most was the take advice and lots of it. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people, or well, kids, teenagers have, is the word every single time an adult tells you something, most of the time you're going to answer with "I know," and that's not the correct answer. Even if you already knew what they told you, you should answer with "Yes, ma'am," "Yes, sir," and just take it, and not like take it and use it and be grateful that they gave you advice.
You will find that people have different opinions about how they approach money. So if you're willing to listen to the variety of opinions, you can sort out what's important to you. There's a book, if you want to write it down in your margin, that I recommend. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's one that I read when I was in college. And the premise of it is that there is a young man who has a father who kind of followed the prescribed way of doing money and came out, fine, but kind of poor. And then he had an adopted father, more of a mentor father figure, who ended up being very wealthy because he did things very differently. And so he compares in that book the money advice that he got from his rich dad and from his poor dad. And it's really educational. So I think that was one of the ones that it just is important to widen your mind to different ideas about how to approach money and how to do things. Okay. Understanding your income. Do you all know the difference between gross income and net income? Does that make sense to you? Okay. For this class, we're operating off of gross income numbers. But one of the things that I will always remember, the TV show Friends, there was a character, Rachel, and she started working for her very first time. And she realized that she did not receive a gross income from that. She received a net income. And I did not have time to pick up the clip, but if I can remember to do it, I will send you the clip of the TV show where she realizes there's a difference between gross and net, because it's one of the most hilarious things ever. And pretty much all of us can relate to it. The net income is kind of a bummer because it pulls out all sorts of other taxes and things. But for our class, we're using gross. Another question that I had for you is, can someone tell me the difference between a debit card and a credit card? Maggie.
So a debit card is well, a credit card, you can get credit and I'm pretty sure the bank can pay you money, I'm pretty sure. And that's kind of I can't remember the word for it, but the credit card, if you spend money on that card, you can get credit from it. If you buy a house, you get more.
I think you're thinking about a rewards card, which sometimes if you make a purchase with a certain type of rewards credit card, they will pay you a tiny amount of what you spent with them as a cashback kick there. But that's a little different from a credit versus a debit. Lydia?
A credit card is a card that you don't have to have the money in your bank account or on the card, for instance, to spend it. You get to spend money that isn't there, which can be dangerous. But a debit card is one where you have a certain amount of money on card, and it's just a way of consolidating your money, essentially.
Sure. So in our reading today, it said one way to get started would be a prepaid debit card. And what that means is you take $500 and you put it onto that card and you have $500 to spend. A credit card says, for this, that, and the other reason, I like the look of you. So here's $2,500 to spend, and you just pay me back a little bit at a time. So they will extend credit to you, even though you don't actually physically have that money. Because what happens is whatever you don't pay off every month, they charge interest on. So some of you are experiencing that with La Vida Loca. When your money rolls over in a negative from 1 week to the other, you're paying interest on that. And that is how credit card companies make their money. is by charging you the interest. And I will say biblically, that's not something that God is super psyched about. It's called usury. And you can search that up if you want to. But that's the difference. And if you have a debit card, it is often also linked to your checking account. And so the money you have gets spent very similarly to cash. When you're out of money, you're out of money. Does that make sense? Okay. There was another part that I wanted to point out about the final idea of divide and rule. And in your reading, they recommended a 50, 20, 30 split, 50%, 20%, 30% split, which is not what we're doing in our class. And I'm wondering if any of you guys know why. Samuel,
They didn't include a tithe.
why didn't they
The person
include
who wrote that.
tithe?
Because
What's
the
that?
person who wrote that was not a Christian. So they didn't believe in a God, probably, or at least not the God that
Right.
we believe in. So they were like, oh, well, why would I give money to that?
Right, so does that make the entire article worthless because they think differently than we do? No, but it just means that anything that you're reading and looking at, you think about the perspective they're coming from and you trust but verify. So there's that difference. I was going to also mention the keep earning point and odd jobs and the fact that you guys can be doing odd jobs right now. How many of you are already doing jobs that can earn you some income? Okay, so about half of you. Keep at up. There are some things you can do when you're younger than 16 and other things that you can't, but I know for those of you who raised your hands, what are the jobs that you're doing?
I do construction with my dad.
Awesome. Okay. Let Ryan.
I shovel our neighbor's driveway in the winter.
Mhm. Samuel.
I mow multiple yards. I'm doing that kind of year long. And then in the spring and fall, I referee for soccer as well.
I really want to harass you the way I harass my children about that right now, but I won't. Sometimes I'll just yell at them for fun so that they'll get thick skin. Maggie.
When I have time, I ref soccer games, and then I also dog sit and sometimes babysit.
Which is where you are now. Mia.
I referee and dog sit, sometimes babysit, and do jobs with my dad a lot.
And I mow the lawn and babysit, and sometimes I get just, my dad gives me money sometimes for helping him around the yard doing different projects.
Odd jobs, and I collect cans.
Mhm. Lydia.
I have made a couple of crochet projects that I've sold for money to people, some hats.
Mhm. So all of you are proving that even though you maybe are not of the legal age to be working, there are things that you can do to earn money and start that process right now. But once you're a grown up and have that job and everything else, you still can do extra jobs on the weekends. Just a little bit ago, we had a leak in our roof and we worked with a guy and he came in on the weekend and he re-roofed a portion of our garage. And that's extra income for him that's outside of the standard salary. And those are good things to keep your eyes open for as you keep working. Okay. Is there anything else any of you wanted to point out about the reading? Okay, let's move on to the assignment. One of the big questions that we had within that assignment is after you broke it down with our 10, 50, 20, 20 model, you were able to then compare what you're spending versus what is recommended that you spend. And the one that I asked about in the the assignment was, can you afford the house you have on the salary you're earning in the game? What, Lydia?
Technically I can, but I also need to get a new house. So I'm not sure if that counts or not.
Yep. Anyone else?
I
Samuel?
can afford my house almost 2 times over, so I think I'm good.
All right. Taylor?
I need a new house that doesn't cost me so much money.
Your house is costing you a lot of money. Here's the other thing is that some of you, your numbers are absolutely fine on 2 incomes, but if it was only your own income, the percentages get out of whack, right? Thinking through that. Okay. If you are within your budget, as you were dividing this out, you then also have a choice of whether you're going to put your extra money into savings or into discretionary spending. And so this is one of the times from this week forward, we're going to be changing the way that you have figured it. Like the last 2 weeks, your food was 11% of your budget. But if you look from this week forward, your needs are, food is part of your needs, and it's going to be 50% of your budget. Does that make sense? So there is going to be a shift moving forward as we go to this 10, 50, 20, 20 model. Now within that, you can choose, first of all, if you don't have leftover money, you don't get discretionary spending. You've got to pay off your debts before you do anything else. So that's one of the things that each of you is in a different situation. So you're going to need to figure out whether you even get discretionary spending. The other piece is that you're going to have to decide if you want to use that full 20% for discretionary spending, or if you want to do a different percentage going into maybe savings versus needs, things like that. Some of your action cards would count in your discretionary spendings category. Some of your action cards will have to be pulled out of your savings category. So we're going to enter a different phase within the game where you're going to have a lot more knowledge and ability to tweak things if you want. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's look at the action card assignments. Let me put your name in here. And again, we're just gonna give us the summary. You're educating each other when you do these action card assignments, so make it the interesting stuff. Okay, let's start with Rin. Rin, tell us about workplace absenteeism.
All right, so this is actually a huge issue for employers, and I did not realize this. So it was interesting to learn about. So the average, first off, let's start by defining the term absentee. Absentee is a person who habitually is absent from work more than they should be. Whether it's because you went over and you had like a family emergency or whatever, and you had something that you needed to do during business hours when you should have been working. And so some people who were normal workers, they just go over into absentee, the category, just because they had an emergency or a medical issue. And other people are absentees who just don't show up for work. So there's a difference there. And there was a study that showed at any given time, 5 to 10% of the workers of a company are missing, which is a significant amount. And it's one of the things that pushes companies over out of the black and into a red zone if they have enough workers who are not there, because they have to pay people to cover their shifts, and they have to it's a home management crisis basically, because they have to fix all the holes that are being created by people not being there. So it costs an employer approximately $3,600 per year per person if they're absent. That's an hourly worker. It's a hire for an hourly worker versus a set salary worker. It's approximately $2,600 or yeah, that they will lose if that person is not there consistently. Another thing I thought was really interesting is that most people have up to about 12 weeks of medical leave if they need it per year, and anything over that is labeled absentee. So if you go over your sick days and whatever, but most people also, a study showed that most people don't like to use their sick days. Instead of using those sick days, they'll take a planned leave, which is fine, but even when they're sick, they'll come to work so that they think it affects like what people think of them and the employees. So they come to work sick, and a lot of food crises are caused because people come to work sick and infect the food, and then it infects everybody else, and then they have more people who are sick, which I did not realize. I thought that was really interesting. And then it shocked me that the medical field is the highest in losing billions per year in absentees. And then the lowest is farmers and fisheries and all of that, because I think they have a more relaxed work schedule, if I were to guess why. They lost less than $1 billion per year. And then the medical field and teachers and physicians and doctors and all that, it's like $24 million a year that is lost total throughout the US. And I thought that was crazy. So that's what I discovered.
Thank you. That is interesting. Kenna, tell us about furnishing your house.
Camera's too tiny. Okay, furnishing a house. Furnishing a house can have a pretty large impact on your financial system. I researched what the cost would be to furnish a 2-bedroom and 1-bathroom house. It can be as little as $3,000, depending on what you decide to do, or it can be as much as $80,000. The price will vary depending on what size the bedroom is and the square footage on the house. Bedrooms, okay. For a brand new bedroom set, it would cost about $1,129. That includes bed frame, 2 bedside tables, and a dresser. A queen size mattress will cost about $500 depending on what kind you get. Linens for your bed set will cost about $30 and some. So the bedroom is almost covered. No, the bedroom is covered. This would be for both bedroom, never mind, sorry, that was bad. Bathrooms. Okay, now for the bathrooms. A shower curtain will cost anywhere from $6 to $25. It just depends on how fancy of a shower curtain you want. Toilet paper holders. I found this was really interesting. There are some toilet paper holders that are like $80. And I was like, why would you spend that kind of money on something like that? But some of the cheapest ones were like $8 to $30. So just depends on how crazy you want your toilet paper holder to look. Bathroom rugs can be quite expensive as well. I looked at small bathroom rugs at Walmart, and the most expensive one was $50. The least expensive was $11. So in the total, if you go with the more expensive way, it's going to cost you about $3,432. For the less expensive way, based on my research that I did, it would cost you about $2,343. Thank you for furnishing a house with me.
Thank you for sharing your furnishings with us. All right, Elijah is not feeling well. Mia, can you tell us about haircuts?
Yes. Turn the camera towards you. There you go. That works too. Okay. On average, a normal haircut for a woman in the US will cost about $45, and the normal price of a man's haircut is about $34. To buy a haircutting kit for men, it will cost anywhere between $15 to $89. For $89, you and some time spent watching YouTube, you can learn to cut your own hair or your friend's hair for much cheaper in the long run, because that initial $89 purchase will last you much more, especially because that's a high quality hair kit. It will last you much longer, because with that same $89 you would only be able to get your hair cut about twice, maybe 3 times, depending on what you're getting done. And so it will almost make money for you learning to do it, which reminds me of the saying, give a man a fish, he's good for a day, teach a man to fish, he's good for a lifetime. And so it's like that. And then a woman's hair is similar. A basic hair kit will cost between $9 and $34, which is a bit cheaper than men's. And there are some things that you probably want to go to a salon for, like getting your hair colored, certain styles, or difficult cuts that you can't do on yourself. But learning to do a basic trim at home will save you a lot, because that's $45 is priced for a basic trim, not anything expensive. Because if you get it colored or styled or a difficult trim, the price just goes up. And so $34, that's to buy a hair cutting kit. That's the most expensive one I found, is still almost $10 cheaper than to go just get your hair trimmed, not anything special done. So
Thank you. All right, Lydia, can you tell us how you make friends and if you move to a new neighborhood?
Okay, so I found a website that had an article on a website that had some pointers. So should I just list a few of them?
Sure, whatever's most interesting.
So one is to answer your doorbell and don't hesitate to ring some. And how I abbreviated that is it is good to answer the doorbell to make connections with neighbors. You can talk on your porch, or you can invite them inside if you have unpacked enough. And it's also a good idea to go to your neighbors and to meet them. It's also good to put yourself out there to do yard work, go to the pool, and go on a walk. If you're doing yard work, you can wave to neighbors and talk to them if they stop. If you have a dog, you can have them sort of break the ice, because they need to be walked, and they will want to naturally introduce themselves to other dogs and people, and that will let you introduce yourself too. You can also join neighborhood social media groups. They can be very useful for connecting with your neighbors. You can introduce yourself and set up this.
Okay, thank you. Chase, tell us about lottery tickets.
Americans spend like 70 billion a year on them. And if you win more than 5,000, 25% of that will go to taxes. And some states have better odds to win. And then the actual question, no, they're not a good idea, even though you could win a bunch of money. But a better idea would be invest in something that you would more likely win money in, and there's not an odd of if you're going to make money or not. So you invest, which is a smarter idea.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Taylor, tell us about the do-it-yourself movement.
The DIA movement. Okay. So there's several pros and cons to the DIY movement. The pros far outweigh the cons from what I found. My resources, I chose 3 different websites that were like more reliable, because a lot of the places that I looked was like, oh, Pinterest says this about this project. And I was like, well, that's not what I want. I want like costs and effects. So it was kind of hard to research this, honestly. But so some of the pros are it improves your mood. Each time you complete a project, it gives you there's a chemical in your brain. And every time you finish something, it gives you a sense of accomplishment and releases endorphins in your brain.
It teaches you new skills depending on what kind of DIY thing you're doing. DIY is such a broad term. It could literally mean you're making yourself a bed frame from like carving the wood, chopping on the trees, sawing all of the logs and stuff to make the pieces of the bed and then putting that bed together. Or it could mean making a paper plate with some sort of googly eyes and stuff for your kid. That's DIY. So the prices are so wacky, out of range and stuff, because like I said, it could be a paper plate you're working with, or it could be an entire tree you're trying to cut down. It increases family time because, I mean, depending on if you have a larger family or not, and if they're handy, most families like to do DIY stuff and crafts and stuff together. So that's also a con. If you want to look at it specific ways, it can cause fights and stuff on how to do stuff. Because I know as a teenager myself, I have moments where I'm like, no, I know what to do. I know what's best. I've researched this, but then my parents know exactly what to do because I've done this before, and I should listen to my parents, and that can cause a little bit of resistance. Yeah. It can increase your activity by a whole lot because most Americans are just couch potatoes, and that's why people in America have the highest obesity count. So it increases your activity because if you go out and you need to get supplies and stuff, then at least you're like out of the house, you know? And then if you come back and you need to like move the things from your trailer that you just bought from Home Depot to the backyard so you can start making your kids swing set, that takes quite a bit of activity. It can increase your income actually, which is interesting because there's a lot of people who think they're great at DIY, and they're actually not. So they try to sell things and they don't make a whole lot, which is one of the risks. If you're making yourself some sort of income, you got to take into consideration if people are actually going to buy the stuff, and that far outweighs the cost. It can reach your goal for help you reach your goal for retirement faster, which, like I said before, that really depends on what you're making and how fast you're selling things and what the income is and what the cost of the materials are, and the time it takes for you to build the actual things that you're trying to make and sell. Conversation topics, that's one of the pros, just because if you made yourself a sign for your house and it's out front, you're like, you have people coming over and you don't know what to talk about, and they're like, hey, I saw that sign by your driveway. Where'd you get that? And then you can say, oh, well, I made that myself, and then you'd have this whole thing to go off of. Just kind of helps with not having a lull in the conversation, awkward silences. Cons are, it's a big time consumer, or it can be a big time consumer. And if you're a busy person with 3 jobs, then you can't just dwell on one thing, making one thing for yourself. Sometimes just because of how much time you have to do things, you don't have what it takes to do DIY. Like I said, it's you can fail. Earlier I said that some people think they're great at DIY, but they're really not. There's a large chance that you could end up with something you didn't even want in the beginning. You could start trying to make yourself a chair and turn out with a small table, and you did not want that small table. Yeah, it's a money saver depending on, like I said before, the range. You can get some pieces for cheaper depending on, like, if you were to buy a kit for something, like I said, to make that small chair. You wanted to make the chair, but online it costs $30 just to get that one chair. But you can go to Home Depot and grab the wood or the whatever pieces you need, and you can compare the price to what would actually be in the package to what would be at Home Depot, and if that would be better or worse.
and it's like I said, major to minor cost savings. It could be something as small as 20 bucks, or it could be 200, you know? All right. That's in my sources were bustle.com, wisebread.com, and louishomecenter.com.
Thank you, Taylor. Samuel, tell us about peacemaking techniques. You compromise captain.
Yes, I'm just so good at that, aren't I? Well, first, the obvious thing. So everybody has relationships, whether you're a recluse or you're married, whether you're the popular kid or whether you're the kid that everybody hates, you have some sort of relationship. And so if you are, let's go with a friendship. If you have a friendship, then you're going to get into a fight at some point. At some point, you guys are going to reach an argument on what you want to do, maybe. So one of the good things to keep in mind is 6 general principles of peacemaking. One of them is to make sure that you seek long-term solutions. Don't go for short-term solutions, because they are exactly what they sound like. They are short-term. They won't work for a long time. Eventually, the problem is going to resurface, and you're going to have to deal with it all over again. And it might even resurface worse than last time. Next, search for the truth. Tell the truth. Truth is vital. Don't go lying to your friends. You need to be telling the truth, or you are going to tear down your relationships, and it's a lot harder to build those back up again than to just start a relationship. Next, peacemaking should be a refuge from conflict. It should not be a place where you are getting into more fights. You should be working your original fight out, not creating it, or not creating more from it. Next, the peacemaker should be creating that refuge. The refuge is not just going to be there ready for you guys to go to. You guys are going to have to actively work against fighting within that peacemaking. Within that peacemaking. Next, if you are a peacemaker, if you're that kind of person that people go to, then make sure that you stay that kind of person. You don't want to be the kind of person that when people meet, they either want to freeze, flee, or fight. You don't want to be that kind of person. And finally, disenfranchise, escalation, unfair advantages, and other things while peacemaking. So that basically means don't look for escalation. Don't be encouraging that, as it were.
Thank you.
And so, yeah,
Oh, go on. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
I was done.
Okay. Thank you. Tyler, tell us about the consequences of lawsuits.
Okay. There can be a lot of consequences. For example, when a big business gets sued, it doesn't hurt the economy as much because the big business doesn't get hurt that much. So therefore, it doesn't really hurt the economy. But if a private citizen gets sued, it could hurt the economy quite a bit, depending on like how high they are, etc. Because if like a private citizen gets sued, they might not have the time, money, or all those resources to help out the community. And if there's no money going in the system, the economy starts to fail, and then stuff like that. Hang on, I'm just gonna restart. Put that in the weirdest way possible. Okay. When a big business gets sued, it doesn't hurt the economy as much because they have so much money, it doesn't hurt them, so it doesn't hurt the economy. If a private citizen gets sued, it could have a really big effect on the community and themselves. A private citizen doesn't often have the time or money to handle a lawsuit. It could cause them to lose their home, small business, or go into a lot of debt. If they lose money, then they can't keep putting money into the economy. No, I said it. Oh, wait, I'm muted.
You're good. Okay, thank you. Did you finish? Okay, just making sure. Thanks. Okay, Ryan, you got to plan a party for 20 people with your menu and activities. How did it go?
Okay, so I couldn't think of how to spend 100 grand in one night. So I kind of turned it into a vacation, kind of. So I flew everyone to Hawaii, that idea from my mom, for around 60 grand. And then rented a yacht for about 4 grand. And a fireworks show for 20 grand. And then meals costed roughly about 35,000, including tips and tax. And then this is what I wrote about it. If you don't have the money to throw a party, then don't, because depending on like what you serve and what decorations or anything you have, it can be a lot. So some inexpensive foods are like hamburgers, tacos, stuff like that. And some cheap activities that I found were like playing card games, board games, or doing something that's not as expensive. And some expensive activities for if you have a lot of money are, hang on, let me find it. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Are like hiring a band or renting, I don't know, like a water park or something, etc. And that's pretty much it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Ryan, you could have just spent 100 grand on buying everyone Apple products. There you go.
I mean, well, besides buying gifts, of course.
You need to have a party favor, right?
Well,
Speaking
then
of
just throw
party,
like a $10 party.
Maggie, tell us about the cost of birthday parties.
Okay, so the average parent spends around $400 on their child's birthday party. And if you have more than one child, that becomes a lot of money. But clearly, not every parent spends $400 on their child's birthday party. But just in case, like you're like, I can't get the money down, I have a couple of ways to cut some of the costs from the party. So one way that you can cut the costs is have the party at home versus a venue, because a venue or like a place can like a Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, it would cost more than if you just stayed home. Another way that you can make it a little cheaper is you can plan the party between meals so that you only have to give them snacks. You don't really have to give them a full meal, which would cost more to get the full meal other than like a veggie tray from, say, Walmart. Another way that you can cut the cost is offer an alternative to a party, like just a small get together with like 1 or 2 friends, maybe go watch a movie or something like that, where it's not a huge party with 20 guests. If you want, say you wanted a cake, it's better to just go and get a boxed cake at the store and make it yourself, because it's a lot cheaper. Like you can get a box cake for $4.99 and then frosting for like $3, which is a lot more. It's a lot cheaper. Now for our family, we do a family get together for a year. Like we just get together with family, or like, oh my gosh, or like the really good friends that we have. And then the next year we have a party with like a couple of people that like just friends from.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Good job, all of you. I appreciate so much that you're bringing interesting things every single time we do action cards. I appreciate that. All right. Here's my question. Would you rather roll for your children right now or draw your action cards? Thumbs up if you want to roll.
Action
for
card.
kids, thumbs down for action cards. Taylor. You guys are like evenly split. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Thumbs down was action cards, and I think that we have 6 thumbs downs. You guys are boogers. Okay.
No, it was thumbs up.
It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, and I couldn't count very well, apparently. I don't know. Did anyone else who agrees with Chase? Mia. Are you asking a question or agreeing?
I have a question.
It was the 6 thumbs up. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Okay, we're gonna do action cards next. Lydia.
There could be a problem with the action cards because if someone with a divorce action card, then they couldn't really have kids without adopting.
Well, you are absolutely right, but you know what? I took the divorce card out because it kept showing up when I didn't want it. It broke the game. So I took divorce out until next week. Unless suddenly I find it in here. I don't think I will though, because I was very sticky. Here's the other thing. I was just gonna have you guys redo, but then we thought about it after class last time. There will be more action cards coming. We have created an expansion pack. So I'm gonna send that out with your email for this week. We have an expansion pack of action cards. So just prepare yourselves. I will send out both the action cards as well as the description of the assignments. And so just be prepared. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. All right, I need to get my little piece of paper where I write all of this stuff down. Okay, we're gonna just go alphabetically. Oh, yes, Brian.
If I get fired again, we need to start a legal petition so I cannot get fired again.
Yeah, I just hear whining. That's all I hear. Wah, wah, wah.
Maybe you should be more responsible at your work, man.
Right?
Yeah,
You
stop
put
watching
cat
cat videos.
once, I think. Come on, man. All right, Chase, you received a tax refund. Collect 50,000 from the bank. Elijah, let's draw Elijah's, even though he's sick today. He got a promotion and he'll get an $80,000 from the bank.
I get fired and people get promotion.
Yeah, that's how it goes, dude. It's not fair. Life is not fair. Oh, I should have said, Chase, your actual.
I looked it up on the book.
You looked it up already? Okay, good. Kenna, buy diapers. Collect 20,000 for the bank. So just so you know, that is a typo that I discovered as I was rewriting all of the expansion pack. In the future, you will not get money for buying diapers. But because that's what's in the book right now, you just got $20,000 for buying diapers.
I don't need them. I'm not having children.
You're gonna have
Kenna,
this time. Your mom just said that maybe they're reusable diapers, so you're gonna get to use them over and over and over. Cloth diapers. All right. Lydia, you're gonna move out again. Okay, so, but here's the deal. Maybe it's gonna work out great for you because you had to move out anyway. Let's see. So right now you're in the basement. That's careers.
So is this with moving out, do I get to have like a dice roll and then I get to choose cards, or is it just whatever one?
This one is just, we're gonna draw it, and if it still doesn't work, you'll get the dice roll option. But it's the Eco House for 6 people. All right, so then pay or collect the housing cost difference to or from the bank. So you had a basement and that was 10,000. Now you have the Eco House, so you're gonna lose 50,000 to the bank on that one. But now you're not gonna have an occupancy fine unless your kid situation works out troubling. We shall see. All right, Maggie, are you ready? Maggie, you won the beautiful forehead contest. You're collecting $20,000 from the bank. And that will actually be research the role of a tidy appearance on employment. Lydia, yours is researching making new friends in a neighborhood because it's moving out. Why don't you present on one of the topics that you had from previous weeks that you missed during camp instead? Does that work for you? Okay. Mia. Pass driving school. Pay $10,000 to the bank.
At least I passed though. Hope I can do that in real life. So much cooler than mine.
All right, Ryan. You got fired for lying to your boss.
Was that the kid that's always getting fired?
Eat that, Ryan. I told you. I called it. I win.
I feel like you have gotten every single fired card. Okay.
Be a seamstress or something.
You are now an electrician. Okay. And you should pay $50,000 immediately for your tuition. And you now have a salary of $120,000.
Wait,
So at
why did
least
he
it
get
wasn't
fired?
that painful there.
Being a bad employee does.
You got fired for lying to your boss, which means that your thing is research effective ways to express discontent in the workplace. All right, Rin. You have a family vacation. You get to pay $10,000 to every player. So everyone else should have 10,000 and you will have minus 100.
From who again?
What's that?
From which player?
From Rin. And your research topic is plan the family vacation, include the budget for a week of travel expenses and activities. Samuel, you won the quilting contest. Collect 20,000 from the bank. Research the skills needed by pioneers to survive their first years of homeschooling or homesteading. All right, Taylor, you won the Family of the Year contest. Collect 20,000 from the bank. Research the lifespans and satisfaction of people with or without a spouse. And Tyler, rogue autocorrect to the boss. Pay $10,000 to the bank. Research services available to correct speech and grammar mistakes as well as to identify plagiarism. Okay. How you doing? Is anyone crying right now? I just want to check and see.
The kid who gets fired cried. I'm
He's,
sure of it.
he's gonna get $100,000 for $120,000 for that. Ryan, all of us feel sorry for you.
I don't. I'm extremely happy right now. I called it again.
Got a bigger salary than you.
Neener, neener.
All
Says
right.
the one who's in debt, like, oof, I don't know.
Okay. You want to go? Yes, Lydia.
So how do we do food? Is that still the 11%?
So we're gonna do 20% of our gross salary. Well, wait a minute. Because we are now doing budgeting, when we figure out this year, we're not doing 11% food anymore. It's getting lumped into the 50% needs category. Does that make sense?
So how do we do the house then? Is that
The house is also going to be in your needs category. So what you should do is you should still have a line item for your house, but what you're aiming to do is not go over your needs category, and you're just kind of seeing that you're in line. It's not going to be perfect because there will be things that will take you in and out based on your action cards. But what you should have is a general idea of what your needs are, which is 50% of your salary, and your house should fit inside of that. Leave it as a line item though.
so should the house, if the house is exactly at 50% of the salary, then do I just not get food then?
No, you're still going to need to do food. Let me think about that for a second, okay?
Okay.
Do I not get kids since I'm a unteen or a bad parent? I shouldn't have kids.
No, I'm about to roll for kids for everyone.
I shouldn't have kids
Get out
either.
of it, Chase. Mia.
So about the kids, I have a question. Is there a specific age that they come? Because you get to decide, right, to go to one or stay with two incomes, correct? If you choose to stay with the two incomes and the children, are they young or old? Because if they're young, do you have to pay for like childcare and that's a cost going out? Or do they just like go to school and then you don't pay anything? Or does someone have to stay with them?
Are we going through the whole growing up process? Do we need a nanny?
Stop.
All right. Here's what I want you to do. Roll forward onto page 40 of your workbook. If you look underneath the annual financial standing on page 40, and this is for next year, you will have to consider your children. According to the Department of Agriculture, the estimated cost of raising a child from birth through 17 is $233,610, or about $14,000 annual. All right, so we're gonna give $14,000 per a child that you have is going to be your expense. Now, you're going to get the children's number right now, but you are going to pay for the children next week. Does that make sense? So week 6 is when you'll start paying for your children. And the cost of each child is $14,000. If you decide to go to one income with your children, and you can flip this back and forth every single week if you want to, then you keep the highest salary, which is yours, and you drop that 14,000 by 80%. So it's still going to cost you money to have the kid, but it will be less money because you have a person home with the child.
I think my wife's income is more than Tyler.
Well, so again, this is a game. It's not going to be perfect, but that's what we're going to do now. So you have a choice at this point to decide whether you want to go to one income or not. And there are things to consider, like what kind of debt do you have? Like, consider all of that. And if you want to, you can change your mind and go from 1 to 2 incomes every week. Yes, Lydia.
So if you go to one income, could that also have some benefits for how much you pay for other stuff for the 10, 50, 20, 20 thing? Does that have benefits, but also like disadvantages?
The only benefit you'll get for this purpose is that your child care costs will be reduced by 80% from the 14,000 per child. And you know what, I've been thinking in the back of my head about food, and I think we ought to stick with the 11% food thing. Let's just keep figuring 11% for our food. Because the reality is sometimes the first time I did a budget when I was married, it did not fit at all. And yet we still ate and we still had a place to live. Sometimes your budget items get out of whack, but you're still going to eat your food. So let's keep the 11% for our food and just not worry about the budget as much. See, I just needed a little time to process there. Okay, any other questions about kids? Are you ready to roll? Okay. I'm gonna go backwards this time. Tyler. You got 6 kids. Taylor. 2 kids. Samuel, 5 kids. Rin, 5 kids. Ryan, 2 kids. Mia,
Ryan, let's trade. I'll give you $2,000.
3 kids. Maggie, 5 kids. Lydia, 5 kids. Kenna, 3 kids. Elijah, 3 kids. Chase, 6 kids. I just have to laugh because I know this is not what some of you dreamed. Okay.
I like how Chase got the most kids when he didn't want any kids.
Right? And Kenna didn't want any kids and she's got 3.
I
Lydia,
mean, I didn't want any.
No, thank the Lord for only giving me 3. I was so
I know, right?
I was 6.
I got
I need to move
5.
out. A bunch of you
And I
got
need
5.
to move out.
So
Okay,
you're gonna be a
okay.
great father of 5.
so now that you know what your new occupancy numbers are, look at where you're living and we're going to decide. You've got to tell me who you want to roll. Now, I am not taking out any of the occupancy cards. So we're going to roll for your choices of houses. And if you don't get something that will fit, then you're going to get an occupancy fine and you'll get to roll again next week. Okay, Lydia.
That was basically my question. If we had to have the occupancy fine, or if we could just roll for house and bed.
You can roll for a house and then see what you get. And if it doesn't work out this time, what I would recommend is to choose the one that's the cheapest, because you're going to be into trouble no matter what. And so choose whatever is cheapest. And then next week you pay the fine and then you get another chance next week. Does that make sense? Okay, so that being said, you know how much you have to have now. Who needs, I'm just gonna go through it. Chase, do you need a new home? You've gone away. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Chase when his picture comes back on. Elijah, I haven't figured that out right now. Kenna, do you need to roll for a new house? No? Lydia, do you need to roll for a new house? The Eco House won't take care of you, dang it. Okay, you get 5 choices. The Suburban Dream, the Starter Home, Spooky Shack, Friend's Couch, Cabana, Windmill, Cozy Cottage.
Is the only one that'll fit me the windmill? Am I right with that?
Yep,
Or did you also say family house?
it's the Windmill.
That's the only one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then that's probably the best. I really wish I got the farmhouse. The farmhouse is like the best deal.
Well, you can roll for the farmhouse next week and hope for it. I mean, you can roll every single week and keep trying for the farmhouse.
Although, did you say that another one was the friend's couch?
Yes. But you
Which-
have to take the Windmill because it's an option for you right now. If you
Right.
can fit, you have to go to it. Sad day, right?
Because otherwise, if I could just choose the friend's couch, I could make money by going lower. I could only have to pay 60,000. That would be a much better deal for me.
But we don't want the authorities onto you with this occupancy fine thing. They're coming around all the time checking on you. You want to avoid that. Okay. Maggie, do you need to roll for housing? You get 4 choices. Okay. The basement, the friend's couch, farmhouse, or starter home. You only can go to the farmhouse, right? Because you now are 7. Okay. All right, Mia, do you need to roll for a new house? No. Ryan, do you need to roll for a new house? Bryn, do you need to roll for a new house? 6 choices. Cozy Cottage, Windmill, Grandma's House, Starter Home, Penthouse, or the Eco House. Looks like you're gonna live in a windmill. Samuel, do you need a new house? Okay. 1. Studio apartment. Okay. So what's going to happen is you're now in a studio, which will cost you less money. And you would record that on this week. Okay, so on week 5, your studio cost is for now, but it's going to give you an occupancy fine of $50,000. Lydia, let me finish getting everyone, and then I'll come back to your question. Taylor, do you need a new house? 6 options. This is proof that life is not fair for Samuel. A friend's couch, a farmhouse, a family house, a suburban dream, a teepee, or the basement. So it looks like, Taylor, you can choose the farmhouse or the family house. What the farmhouse is 100,000, the family house is 120,000.
Or the suburban dream. She only has 2 kids, so it's only 4 total.
Oh, I was looking at Tyler. I'm sorry. Yes, you have choices. What do you want?
I only have 4 written down here. I got 6 right.
Yes,
The other one was the basement.
the teepee
Oh,
and I think the friend's couch. Oh, so I think you could have done the teepee too.
yeah. I'd like to buy the teepee, please.
Teepee. Suburban dreams are nice.
Really good deal.
Okay. Tyler, do you need a new house? You've frozen, Tyler.
Chase says
do
the
not
thing won't let him back in. You have to let him in.
Oh, yep, there it is, right there. Poor Chase. I've excluded him. Okay, Tyler, do you need a new phone, a new house? Yes. Okay, you get 3 choices. A starter home, a tree house, or a basement. None of those fit
Yeah,
your
it's a
expanded
house.
family.
Yeah.
So here's what you can do. You can change your home to something cheaper this week. You're going to have to pay the occupancy fine no matter what. The basement is an option for you, or you can just stick with where you are, pay the fine, and roll again for next week.
Drop someone in
What's the
the closet.
cheapest house?
The cheapest house. So you're going to go to the basement. It's going to be a great year for you.
I need to re-roll for a house.
Yes. I couldn't see you before. You're the last one, my dear. Okay. 5 options. The cabana, the friend's couch, the suburban dream, the eco house, or grandma's house. Okay,
I don't think any of those
same
fit.
problem. You have the same problem that Tyler has. So your family now doesn't fit any of these. So you're going to have to pay an occupancy charge of $50,000 this week, no matter what, and roll again next week. But you can switch to the cheapest for the week and save some money that way if you want to. Or you can stay the same. What would you like?
I'm going to grandma's house.
Grandma's pretty awesome. She's taken care of you before.
She's taking care of me right now.
Grandmas are great. Okay. Lydia, is your question still there?
Yeah. So I have 3 questions actually. It all has to do with housing.
Okay.
First, can you for a fee make an add-on to your house to make it so it can fit another person?
Not yet, but that is part of the expansion pack that's coming.
Okay.
But currently, no.
Okay. My second question is, can you trade houses with someone if they want to?
No.
Okay. And then my third question is, can you share a house with someone and split the cost?
No. I love to crush hopes and dreams.
I guess.
All right, Ren.
So do we switch housing this week or next time?
Okay, so your figures for week 5 should reflect, it should reflect your housing costs that you just rolled for right now. So for example, let's use Tyler. Instead of what he was gonna have, he should have 10,000 for his basement plus the 50,000 occupancy fine. It will switch again next week if you have to roll for a new home.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Lydia,
Can I also roll for getting a new job?
you can roll for a new job.
I don't
Let me pause for a second before we move to that. Are there any other questions about kids and housing? Okay. Before you roll for your new job, this came up last week. Some of you are out of roles for your career because every time you intentionally roll for a new job, you can only do that twice over the course of the game. If you roll for a new job, or if you want to, you can give one of your roles to someone else. Okay, I call that the fresh start. But here's the deal. In real life, if you get involved in someone's life and give them a fresh start, it actually does cost you something. It could be a lot of different things, but there is a cost involved. So if you out of the goodness of your heart, wanted to give one of your roles to a fellow classmate, you can do that, but you're going to pay half of their schooling cost to give them a fresh start. Okay? And also remember, the fired cards are still out there. So you might need your role at some point because you got fired and you ended up with a different job. So just so you know, there's things to think about with that. Does anyone besides Lydia, I'm going to start with Lydia for jobs. She wants a new job. The barista, Starbucks is not paying her like she hoped that they would. It's just not working out for you. All right, you're going to get 6 choices. You lucky dog. Your choices are waste management collector, singer, waiter.
Can you wait so I can write these down?
Oh, you are very bossy. Some people.
Okay, so what were they again?
Waste management collector,
Okay.
singer, waiter, doctor,
Sure.
electrician, athlete.
Athlete.
And what will happen is that you will record the change of salary on week 5.
So on this week.
Yes,
Can I have a minute to figure out what one is the best?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, were you raising your hand? No. Okay, does anyone else want to roll for a new job? Kenna,
I don't want to roll for a new job. I would like to give one of my roles to Maggie.
Maggie, would you like to accept Kenna's role? Okay. Maggie, let's roll and see what you get.
I would, but I need them.
4. Athlete. Chef. Inventor. Waiter.
Make it count, Maggie.
Okay, think about it for a minute. Does anyone else need to roll for a new career?
I need to roll for new kids.
No. Sorry, Chase. This is about, learning to be responsible for those actions you take. This is your blood. Your blood, sweat, and tears right now in these children.
Just put half of them up for adoption.
Oh. All right, Lydia.
I'll put all of them up for one,
I
except
do
for
that?
one.
I haven't decided yet. I've narrowed it
Wait,
down.
I can't hear Lydia.
So I haven't decided yet. I've narrowed it down to waste management collector, doctor, and electrician, but I want to make sure. Is it not a typo that waste management collector gets 90,000?
It is not a typo.
Okay.
If
I'm trying
you
to think if
read
it's-
The Millionaire Next Door, trash collectors are some of the most wealthy people in the entire country. It's not a typo.
Okay, I
Crazy,
just
right?
didn't know.
You know what else is really, really lucrative? Is the
What?
person who cleans out the septic systems. Ren's like, yeah,
They probably get a lot of money because no one wants to do it.
right? They're like, I will pay you to take care of that.
And
it
it's
is
not a
for
very
real.
healthy career. You're gonna end up with all kinds of diseases.
There's all sorts, there's pros and cons to everything.
But you'll have the money to pay the medical costs.
Yes, you will.
Hopefully.
Okay. Maggie, have you made a decision? Okay, what are you gonna choose for your career?
Inventor.
Okay. You have chosen something with the college path, which means you are gonna owe 50,000 to the bank, and Kenna, your kindness is gonna cost you 50,000 as you pay for half of Maggie's fresh start. I would send her flowers or something. All right, Lydia.
That cost 10.
Right.
Okay, so the electrician gets 120,000, but you have to pay 50 because it's a trade pack. Doctor, you get 130, but you have to pay, and that's like that's one of the highest other than the physical therapist. To pay $100,000 a year. Waste management collector, you don't have to pay anything, and you get 90. So that's like the best one for the ones you don't have to pay anything to get it. But I'm thinking that overall the doctor or the electrician would be better, but I still need to calculate if overall for the next few weeks. I'm guessing the doctor would be the best. Even though I have to pay 50,000 more than the electrician, I get 10K more each week. So after 5 weeks, I will have made up more, and then I would have been better. So I think that doctor is the best one for me.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay. So what's going to happen is this for week 5, you are now going to have the doctor's salary, but you're going to have to pay 100,000 to pay off your schooling.
But that just that means I still get 30K from it, right? That's
right.
I still get something.
Right. And for those of you, the next thing I need to ask is how many of you want to go down to one salary or not? Because the other piece of that, Lydia, is remember, any of you who changed your careers, that will affect your 11% food cost, that will affect your 80% spouse salary. Make sure you are careful about that. Maggie.
So you can choose if you go down to one or not.
Yes.
So, and like, say I stay on 2 salad, like my 2 right now, could I change back down to 1 later on?
Absolutely.
Wait,
Okay.
can I like magically get rid of 3 kids if I stop taking my wife's money?
No,
Dang it.
but you can pay 80% less for them if you don't take her money.
Hey Chase,
Alright,
here's an
I'll
idea.
do that. I have 300K saved up. I'm good.
Okay, hold on a second. So pause and make a break in your head. If you're switching to one salary, this will be reflected on week 6. Okay, children cost, all of that, week 6.
Yeah, that makes it half, like 50% cheaper though, right?
Well, 80% cheaper.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so Chase, you want to go down to one salary.
Same.
Wait a minute, who said that?
Ryan. did.
Ryan? Kenna?
One salary or not. Okay. I want to work and I want my husband to stay home because I make more
That's
money.
still just one salary though.
Yes,
So-
but
So if you go to one salary, you keep the higher salary.
But what
Okay,
matter if he
okay.
works for you?
Okay, since you guys are unmuted, Taylor and Mia, do you want one salary or 2?
I know
Taylor is 2, okay, Mia,
I'm going down to 1.
okay. Lydia,
It's fair deal.
Yes,
are you gonna go to one salary or keep 2?
I'm trying to figure out how much that's going to cost right now. I'm already stuck on the food, trying to figure out 11% of 130.
Okay, Maggie, one salary or 2?
I'm still trying to think about it.
Okay. Rin, have you decided?
I'm sticking with 2. I still make $30,000 more.
Okay, Samuel, have you decided?
Yeah, I'm most definitely sticking with 2 salaries. I make a lot more money that way.
Okay, Taylor, Ryan, your hand's up.
Yeah, I actually just did the math. I'll probably stick with 2.
Okay, I will erase
If
that.
Okay, thank you.
Tyler has gone away. Brian, is Tyler there where you can ask him if he wants 1 or 2 salaries?
No, he said he wants 1 salary. He
Okay.
texted my mom.
All right. Okay, so I've gotten everyone except Maggie. What have you decided?
I think I'm gonna stick with 2 salaries for right now.
Okay. So the people that I have switching to 1 salary are Chase, Kenna, Mia, and Tyler. I've got it written down right? Okay,
I think I want to change. I think I want to stay on the 2 salary because I think that's going to be more that way.
you got it. Okay, that is all of the moving and shaking. So here is the other thing I will say. Number 1, read the emails because the details of certain things get written down there as well. Okay, so pay attention to the emails. Number 2, you should be opening up the spreadsheet and checking to make sure our numbers match. I have made mistakes before, and I want to make sure that I am not making a mistake, and I know there's been confusion. And so let's make sure that our numbers match because we have to go all the way back to the start in order to catch it all up again. So when I send the email out this week, you have 2 jobs. Read it, double check my figures, and there's some shifting because, you know, there's a lot of moving pieces to this. All of that makes sense? Okay, I appreciate you guys and I'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.